Hello, it is the week 4 edition of the Monster Pod here on thelines.com. Joined by Connor Allen, 4 for 4 of Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. This is 6 most places. We do have 6.5 still out there in favor of the Texans at home over the Jags. 44.5 up to 45.5 out there in the market when it comes to the total. Boy, the talk this week in the NFL, Connor, has been that are the Jags the worst team in the NFL? Is Trevor Lawrence actually Daniel Jones? Is what is going to happen with this team? Are we going to see a mass coaching firings? All these different stuff that's going on with the Jags, which leads us into a road game in which they are nearly a touchdown underdog to the Houston Texans. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, I mean, Doug Peterson needs to be fired. Not just because I bet on him to be the first coach fired, but I think he legit needs to be fired, actually. It's just not going well. I mean, we've seen multiple years now. Like, it's just not clicking. It's partially on Lawrence. It's partially on the offensive line. It's partially on everything. But in my opinion, they need to make a change here. My biggest note on this game is not necessarily on the side of the total. It's another kind of prop angle here. Yep. The issue is that this entire Houston wide receiver core is just like banged up. We have Nico Collins put on the injury report yesterday. Monitor his status, because if he plays and is like, and it was basically nothing, or maybe a rest day or something like that, he has an amazing matchup. He leads the team in target rate against man. The Jags are allowing over 10 yards per target 10 yards per target to opposing wideouts that play on the outside this season. Nico Collins is like an alpha, basically just plays on the outside. Tank Dell not going to play. Stephon Diggs against man has like a 5% less target share, and the Jags lead the league in man rates like north of 60%. So I think that, like, again, as long as Nico Collins is like, he doesn't even need to be 100%, 80%, 90%, he's going to have an absolute monster day here against the Jags. So that's probably my favorite angle in this one so far.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get Joe Mixon or Dameon Pierce back in there as well. So those guys look like they're not going for the Texans. So we're going to get another week of Cam Akers out there. I'm sure everybody in DFS that wasted their money on Cam Akers last week is going to rush back to get Cam Akers back in their lineups this week. On the Jacksonville side of things, dealing with a few injuries, Evan Ingram to a couple DMPs in a row. Again, doesn't look like he's going to get back out there for Jacksonville. Steven, what do you like here in Jags and Texans?
It's a stay away for me, but I'll share with you guys. Our lead writer, Eli Hershkovich, did take 7 when it was available on the Jaguars. And I'll just share one nugget from his betting column at thelines.com. He wrote that the Jags D runs cover 1 at the top rate in the league. And CJ Stroud's accuracy versus man defense ranks near the 20th percentile among qualified quarterbacks. That's on top of the Texans passing attack being 5th worst in success rate against zone defenses so far this year. So it's not exactly clicking on all cylinders yet for the Houston Texans, despite all these wide receivers. So that's just one nugget. You can read his full analysis if you want to see why he fully bet Jags +7 this week. For me, I wasn't surprised the Jags got blown out by the Bills. I thought it was a bad matchup from the start. But when we get into situations where I felt like they weren't even like doing things smartly, they were playing soft when they have bad receivers. And it just like, it definitely stinks of bad coaching and bad preparation for me. Last year, Matt, we talked about, is Doug Peterson calling plays or not? Press Taylor's still clearly calling plays. They showed him a couple times on the sideline. Like, he's not anywhere near as good of a play caller as Doug Peterson, who's won a Super Bowl calling plays. So if I thought that preparation was still going to be okay for the Jags, I'd be more confident in it. But I mean, we'll talk about another team. I see like similarities with Chicago here, right? With just preparation and schematic issues with the Jags. So I'm just going to stay away from this game.
This Jags defense is, for all of the offensive problems, the defense is really what has me kind of having a little bit of interest in the Texans. I mean, they're the 4th worst team in the NFL when it comes to EPA per play allowed. If you go in and you look too, there's just nothing from a pressure standpoint that they're getting on the quarterback and all that. And I get the stats that you were talking about there that Eli put in his article, Steven, but I mean, it's got to be like the tiniest of tiny sample size. He's only been in the league a year and nobody runs man anymore. So it's kind of like, it's got to be like a microscopic sample size of when he's actually been against man coverage, So like, I don't know. I feel like I should stake Stroud and this team over what has proven to be one of the worst defenses in the NFL so far. but I haven't put it in the account yet. I for some reason, something's holding me up, and it's probably what you were talking about I have eyeballs, and so I've seen this Texans team not look incredibly efficient yet, right? And so that's
yeah,
the thing.
that's the thing for me. I would like to see it first with Houston at this point. It's been a couple of weeks in a row where they just haven't figured it out.
Yeah, Connor, just out of curiosity, outside of the Nico Collins stuff, if since it doesn't look like we're going to get Tank Dell, and we should be seeing Steph Diggs run a ton more routes, just out of volume alone, is there any interest in any of that with him, or is it just like a stay away?
Yeah, I think honestly it might be a stay away because his number is like already kind of reflecting that. We're seeing the highest prop numbers that we've seen so far. Like he's in the 60s. I mean, he hasn't been lying in the 60s since like mid-season last year, before he, kind of fell off a cliff there at the end of the year. So I don't know. I think for me, it's kind of just a stay away because that's like the natural progression there is Nico's banged up, Tank Dell's out, Steph Diggs, wheels up, which may still be a good angle. I think, he could score touchdowns or whatever in DFS, but from a prop perspective, it's probably just a stay away.
Guys, as always, everything we do absolutely free. So please hit that subscribe button. Do appreciate you hanging out. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comment section what game stood out to you. What did we miss? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Let's be frank. You're only going to put what you disagree with in there. That's fine. Just tell us what you disagree with and tell us that we're idiots and all that. We'll go in. We'll read them for sure. Don't think Steven doesn't go back in the comments because we made a clean sweep on Thursday night when everyone was calling us idiots. And Steven went in there and did a little poking of the bear. So it's just a little poking of the bear. Just a little poking of the bear in that. Of course, if you have not already, go in. Check out all the great work Connor and company are doing over at 4 for 4. It is literally not only sports betting, but great fantasy stuff, DFS stuff, and great projection systems that you're going to want to use in your process. So be sure and put that to play over there for Connor. For Steven, I'm Matt. Good luck on all your week 4 bets.